This storybook reveals could shatter one little girl's beliefs.
Fairy tales are real, but you don't know the whole story.
New Once Upon a Time, next Friday on ABC.
I think this trailer was more or less released around the perfect time because it came out after essentially the dust for Eloise Gardner and Pretty in Blue has died out and allows people to get a little bit more excited for One Little Tear. Now, in terms of its content, the trailer didn't give too much away, but I think it helps to kind of confirm the fan theory that Rapunzel is in fact Lady Tremaine. One thing that I noticed in this trailer that was striking is Rapunzel is wearing a very similar color to what Lady Tremaine wore in a previous episode. It was when Weaver came into her office and she was essentially harassing him, telling him what to do, and she was wearing like that orange jacket. And in this trailer, Rapunzel is also wearing a very similar colored orange jacket. And obviously, characters wearing the same colors doesn't mean that they are the same, but it's too striking for me not to have noticed. Then at the end, Tremaine says to Lucy, fairy tales are real, but you don't know the whole story. And then it shows the Rapunzel Tower again, and it makes me think that, Lucy knows fairy tales exist. The Rapunzel fairy tale is quite real, but is Tremaine in fact Rapunzel? And that's the whole story that Lucy doesn't know, or the part of the story Lucy doesn't know. So I think that the trailer, it's encapsulating, but because it's so short, it doesn't give us too much to really, really break down. I mean, it talks about the book at the same time, but honestly, I think I need to see it play out in the breadth of the episode. But I'm looking forward to One Little Tear quite a bit. I think there's a lot to offer, especially since Anastasia will be in this episode. Obviously, the witch, Gotha, will be in the episode. I like Emma Booth as the witch. I just don't like the way they have been writing the witch because, when she was introduced, they didn't give a name, which I expected. But then when she came about again, they didn't name her, which I really didn't like. It took a long time to name her. So I think her writing needs to be tweaked just a little bit. Hashtag get those script doctors in there. But I just wanted to make a video to talk to you guys again because I haven't made a video in a while. I feel bad about that. It's been crazy, crazy busy. I am almost in my winter break, which is awesome. Just got to meet us. I took my cousins to meet Santa the other day, and that was fantastic. We had a great time hanging out with Santa Claus. So just kind of getting the holiday spirit, getting done with school, work's a little busy. So it's just been really hectic, which is why I haven't been able to make a lot of content. I missed the whole DC crossover. I haven't been able to finish that yet. I want to watch it. It looks really cool. I saw part 1 and part 2, but I haven't seen 3 and 4. But 1 and 2 were quite fantastic. So that's also why ratings wars and everything has been delayed because the month of November is heavy with schoolwork for me. And then my trip to Disney World occurred, and then I'm in finals, so it's been wild. Now, I did want to mention one other thing, at least in terms of ratings, in terms of actual media content and whatnot. So I looked at the ratings for Pretty in Blue and Eloise Gardner, and it's a 2.79 million people, or I'm sorry, it's 2.27 million people that watched Pretty in Blue and Eloise Gardner, while Greenbacks, which was the lowest episode before, was 2.29. So the ratings have dropped. Wake Up Call was the 6th episode, and it was 2.37. So Wake Up Call, episode 6, 2.37, which went up by about 9, not 9 million, but in 900,000. I'm not 100% sure how the math works, but it went up for Wake Up Call from Greenbacks, but then from Wake Up Call to Pretty in Blue and Eloise Gardner, it went down again, and I kind of think that's rightfully so because the ratings the episode wasn't that good. But I'm curious where One Little Tear will fall because, the ratings just keep dipping and dipping and dipping, and now they're in the they're in the high 2s. They're in the high 2.2s. They're not even the high 2s. High 2s would be 2.7, which is what A Pirate's Life was in. But I do wonder where the ratings for the rest of the season will lie. And speaking of ratings or reviews, I went to Rotten Tomatoes to see what critics have been thinking about the show. I don't really watch other people talk about Once Upon a Time, so I was curious what critics have to say. And I pulled up all of the ratings for the show, and I found it shocking that season 4 has a 58% Rotten Tomatoes review, which is horrifying. I think it's actually more so fans, because if you look at the image I have up, it says critics consensus, and but doesn't have a verified fresh, which actually, hold on, let me just retract it. I know how Rotten Tomatoes works. Verified fresh means it's just done really well. But the critics consensus is the actual critics are reviewing it. But if you look at season 7, season 6, season 5, season 3 and season 2. Critics aren't actually checking out, like professional critics who are getting paid, but the critics for season 1 and 4 did look at these, and that's how they felt. And I think that the season 4 ratings are horrible and totally unjustified because season 4 was the best season, in my opinion. But I mean, the writing wise, it's 100% accurate. But you know, the ratings for excluding 4 for the other episodes or other seasons were all really high. You know, 78 for season 1, 100% for season 2, but there's no critics there, so that's all fans. That's a little bit too heavily weighted to the good. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes rarely happens. 71 for season 3. 100% again for season 5. Same comment for season 5 about season 2. 83% for season 6. That kind of makes sense. Season 6 had decent episodes. I think it more or less should be in the 70s personally. But, you know, it's a bit... Actually, it's a... How do I word it? The ratings for 6 are a little bit too high, but the musical episode was so good and the finale was so good. But then when you look at season 7, it has a 40% rating. And 40% is horrible, but super reflective. And because there's no critics consensus part of it, that means it's all fans that are essentially reviewing these. And the fans for season 7 are more or less kind of hating it. And it's because 7 isn't done well. And I know there are a lot of people out there that like 7, but I think the majority think 7 is kind of a flop. And it's not gonna get canceled during its run. It's just not gonna happen. But they need to do something to improve what's going on. And I think they either need to bring in script doctors to fix their scripts, or acting coaches, or something, because they need to either tie up storylines and just leave them be, and then just focus on 1 or 2 single storylines, but don't do 5. Like, they lost writers, they got newer writers. I don't think the newer writers are that good. I think Adam and Eddie are too much in control of the show. They've always been too much in control of the show, and that's a very big problem when you have too many people in charge. Like, for example, at Marvel, Kevin Feige, he's the head of Marvel, right? But he has people under him and is able to control them. You know, he has the directors like the Russo brothers, I believe, who are doing the next Avengers. But, you know, they direct and he supervises. That's kind of what you need. You need a supervisor and you need the directors. But anyway, those are what's going on with the Rotten Tomato scores for Once Upon a Time. But there's no like individual episode Rotten Tomato scores. That'd actually be really cool if they had you know, each individual episode. I would actually make videos on that. But anyway, I was just really curious what you guys had to say about the trailer and what's going on with you. And thank you for watching my review, and we'll talk real soon. All right, guys.